Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ken Rice, and good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. We talk sports here every single night of the week. We want you to join our conversation. It's 412-575-2600. That's the number, the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Also on Twitter, at KDPomp, at Chris Mueller, PGH. And Chris joins us up at 93.7 The Fan. The PM team, I'm sure, was smoking today as the air was very smoky out there. But lots to get into, Chris. I want to first talk to you about the Pirates sweeping this team. It's kind of a weird scenario to see them play their best baseball against all the elite teams, or at least the teams that have the most money, and yet they lose to the teams that have no money. But it was a good sign. A lot of young guys stepping up in key situations. Your thoughts?
I thought that they battled and showed a lot of guts today. They could have easily gone with the old route. What did Meatloaf sing? 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Bob? And they could have said, we're down 4-0. We won 2 out of 3 already. That's a solid series at home. But they scrapped. It was a very scrappy kind of win. I think the best individual sign is that Henry Davis plopped right into the middle of that lineup where he belongs, had 3 hits, including the game-winning RBI late in that one. And it wasn't just a power show from him or anything. It was him fighting off pitches and having good at-bats. So when your best prospect that you've called up this year is spurring a sweep and not giving away at-bats, even though I think all those guys probably on both teams weren't crazy about going out there and playing in the conditions that you referenced, the fact that the Pirates battled, I think, reflects well on Derek Shelton, and it reflects well on their veteran leadership here.
Yeah, they got some pretty good pitching, too, today. After Luis Ortiz got out of the game, you know, he's been okay, too, for the most part. But I thought, you know, Derek Shelton made a good point. You're referencing Davis. How about Ji-Hwan Bae had an 11-pitch at bat? And even if you get out, it doesn't matter. 11 pitches, you're making the pitcher work. And I think Joe Musgrove is one of those guys who normally works pretty quick and doesn't find guys going 11 pitches into his at bat. But, you know, the bottom line is they won 3. Now they have 3 more big ones coming up against Milwaukee. It's good to see guys step up like Davis, like Nick Gonzalez, and even Jared Triolo, who's playing now. You know, he ended the game both yesterday and today by making a nice fielding play at third base. It's good to see guys come up. I think more people around here want to see more guys come up eventually as this season rolls on.
Yeah, I mean, I think people expect to see more guys come up, Endy Rodriguez being the biggest one of the bunch. And I think what is interesting about all of this is if they take 2 or 3 or even sweep Milwaukee or whatever, I want to say it's a 4-game series, but maybe I'm crazy there, Bob. If they are able to get one over on the Brewers here and make up some ground, if you're Ben Cherington and you're sitting around near the deadline and your team is like maybe a game or 2 away from the Reds, even if you're only a couple games over 500, that presents a bit of a quandary. How do you proceed? How do you keep a foot in the present and try to actually help this team win a weak division while not sacrificing the future that you very clearly think is more important and more sustainable?
Speaking of the future, up or down in Nashville, it was the Penguins at their draft. Yesterday, they've had a Yager, now they have a Yeager. Braden Yeager, 18 years old. Today, 5 more guys were drafted, all of whom won't be around here anytime soon. But it's interesting to me that Kyle Dubas is still trying to walk that tightrope. He brought in Riley Smith, and now there's talk. Well, there has been talk about big-name goalies, but also Noah Hannafin, who's a defenseman in Calgary and wants out of his deal or out of Calgary or whatever the case may be. He could be a fit here, but I wonder, you know, if you're Kyle Dubas, you know, if you're trying to figure out the future, you're going to have to give up some of it to get this guy, although he's only 26. It's interesting to see that development.
Yeah, I think that he is somebody that would obviously make them real good. He fits well as a sort of a guy who can play opposite Chris Letang and keep up with him skating, and he's a left-handed shot. I think there's, 1 year left on the deal. Yep. And then you'd see about maybe does he like it here, does he want to stay here if you were able to get him. But I just, you know, this is all about if you want assets, you usually have to give up assets to get them in this kind of situation. And really, what assets does Kyle Dubas have that he's willing to part with that other teams want? I just don't really think that this is an easy situation for him. You know, they've had Erik Karlsson. You know, we know he's out there, and the Sharks are shopping him and trying to trade him. that would be the kind of move that would turn them from a fringe playoff team into something like a cup contender. That guy scored 100 points last year. But how do you make that deal happen? You said he's walking the tightrope and trying to have it both ways. That's kind of the whole problem with this job right now, expectations versus reality.
We're going to take a break here. We got more to get into. Your phone calls as well at 412-575-2600 right here live, Pittsburgh CW and Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.